Welcome to another TIRIAScast. I'm Jim McGregor, one of the principal analysts here at TIRIAS Research. I'm joined by my colleague, Francis Sideco. And we have a junior analyst here, Caiden McGregor. And as part of our coverage for CES 2025, we're going to be talking about one of the many trade shows that happens here. It's called Pepcom's Digital Experience. And it's kind of like a mini version of CES, just like CES unveiled and Showstoppers, where there's a lot of startups, there's a lot of established companies. They have smaller displays, and it's only for press, it's only for the media, so press and analysts, where they get in and they get to see the demos and talk to these companies and everything else. Quite honestly, usually Pepcom is the best of the three, but you know, it varies by year to year. They usually have really good food, though. I have to admit that. So,
yes, they do.
So you two attended. Damien and myself did not. So you gotta tell us about it. Was there kind of a general theme of Pepcom this year? Did you notice a trend?
Well, I mean, with all of these shows, there's always kind of a mix, right?
Yeah.
But the ones that really stood out to us, there's probably a handful, and we'll maybe highlight a couple since we don't have like a whole hour. But you know, 3 out of the 4 that really stood out really had to do with taking artificial intelligence and using it in a very productive way, just normally throughout your life. So we'll talk through that a little bit. One of them that I thought was pretty cool was kind of the next step in the evolution of AR glasses. So maybe we could start with that one.
Okay.
You know, it had AI in that most of these smart AR glasses now, you connect to your phone, you can through your voice access like ChatGPT and things like that. So that's kind of pretty normal now. It had all of those capabilities with being able to answer your phone, directional speakers, things like that. What made this particular glass kind of what I say is the next step in the evolution is, you know, with all of these AR glasses, it's all about finding a way to get some kind of visual input to the user, right? And these are being done with waveguides and things of that nature. But this was the first one I saw that was still using just regular glasses and lenses that you could have prescriptions on. But what they were doing was actually had a small little projector that was projecting into your eye. Which I had the exact same reaction. And my first question to them, and we did a video on this, so there's a little bit more detail.
That'll be on the YouTube channel too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a monochrome display or a monochrome projection. Green, it's a green light, so it minimizes anything. And they did say they have to be FDA approved or whatever the appropriate FDA counterpart is in the different countries.
Are they?
I believe he did say they were. Well, they were still in the prototype stage. So maybe they're still going through it, but they're not commercial yet. They were going to be commercial, I think, later on.
And the name of the company?
The name of the company was Halliday, HALLIDAY. But yeah, so that was the interesting thing about it. So without having to use waveguides or anything, there was a kind of a monochrome, display that gave you, text feedback to whatever you were doing. And one of the use cases that he was talking about was being able to they have in their app on the phone is a built-in live translator. So as you're traveling or whatever and it's doing translation, yes, you could hear the translation, but it can also then, write it out for you in text and make it be kind of more unintrusive because you're the only one seeing it. So that was one of the use cases that they mentioned.
That might be useful, especially in a loud environment, noisy environment.
Exactly. So that one was pretty cool, but the other ones, we can go into some of the more kind of practical uses of AI that we saw. So I don't know, Caiden, if you want to get into one.
Sure. I think the most impressive use of AI I saw today was in fact also using drone technology, and it was from correct me if I'm wrong, alarm.com?
Yeah. Yes.
And they had used a drone with AI implemented into it that would be released from a protective box on your property whenever it detected someone trespassing or trying to break into your property. And it was able to cover up to, I think, 600 meters it was, and it would release the drone, and it would be fully autonomous. It would fly to the location it had pinpointed the intruder. It was able to shine a spotlight. It has speaker to be able to shout and try and scare off the intruder. And it would recognize characteristics of the intruder. It would recognize what clothes they were wearing, how tall they were, and it would record that information to provide to law enforcement in the future. And I thought that was a really interesting use of drone technology for home defense.
So no little missiles like from Iron Man
Not
or
yet.
anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have to ask.
Yeah.
You know, drones are being used for
Yeah.
warfare.
And we do have an entire interview with them that will be posted online later. And in fact, that included a demo of a live use of the drone flying in, I want to say, Utah.
Yeah, it was a parking lot in a building in Utah where they remotely they were able to say, "Hey, I want." So it could either be reactive, where it reacted to like a sensor or a camera that extended basically the net of coverage. Right, like one of the things that she was saying was a lot of times right now you have to wait till somebody actually breaks into your home.
Yeah.
What this allowed you to do is extend the protective fence out, so that if you see an intruder or the AI determines that the actions of whatever it picked up was malicious, it would send a drone out. So it would actually create an alarm. One, potentially scare them off to where they're not even breaking in. But two, if you did need to call the police, you're able to do it, before they even get to the house.
Will it work with multiple drones for a large area?
Yeah, we didn't get into that, but I don't see why they wouldn't.
Well, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do this. Drones with tasers.
Yeah.
Non-lethal, but still stop somebody.
Yeah, there's probably various levels of. Well, maybe in Arizona you could do that. It's
Just
the wild, wild west
saying.
out there, but there's probably various levels
Okay.
of certifications that we'd have to go through, red tape. But yes. Yeah.
Maybe get 4 drones and just drop a large net.
Well, they did start tasers out there in Arizona. So,
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Okay. You never know.
So that was interesting, and it gave so Alarm.com is a platform that other home protective service companies then build their services on. So what these kinds of features that they were explaining was just allows their partners to potentially upsell or depending on what they want to do with their tiering and things like that. But it gave them an opportunity to further monetize using AI, which I thought was interesting because there's a lot of questions right now about, hey, how do you monetize AI and how do people really make money? But there's a lot of investment going into it, and I thought that was a pretty good example of it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm kind of thinking 2025 is kind of the beginning of the third wave of where we start seeing more of the intelligent or the AI on the edge devices and the IoT devices.
Yes.
So, anything else that stood out to you?
Well, there was the sunglasses that seemed to appeal to you quite a bit.
Oh, that was pretty cool. It wasn't an AI thing though. It was just they basically took. I don't know if it's the same technology or not, but it was a similar effect as the electroluminescent windows in a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, where they could control it using, but they did it on sunglasses. So it was pretty cool because you can go from clear to dark, kind of like transition lenses, but very quickly, or you can even change the color of the tint on the glasses. And the form factor of the glasses were very normal looking glasses, very stylish glasses. So that was pretty cool. But it wasn't AI. It was just a typical.
Yeah, I've seen companies do that with auto glass too.
Yeah.
Especially for roofs. Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. But the other AI ones that we saw, there was one from actually a couple of big companies. the Weather Channel are using. They actually announced this partnership at GTC last year with NVIDIA, where they partnered with NVIDIA to bring predictive AI into their forecasting models and so forth to not only make forecasting more accurate but more localized. So a lot of the models right now are in the 25-30 kilometer kind of footprint.
Yeah.
They're able to bring it down to potentially a 1 kilometer footprint, which is a pretty localized, especially in areas like Arizona where you guys are at. There's a lot of microcells where one neighborhood could be facing almost a tornado, and the other neighborhood is like sunshine and rainbows. So
That is cool. I just wish I could forecast how much their annoying ads really annoy me. But no, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's great to see them using that for weather prediction, especially at that level.
Yeah, so that was one, and then the last one was actually IBM, where they're really starting to make inroads in athletic and entertainment events.
Mm-hmm.
So they had the U.S. Open in Wimbledon. They had the PGA, the Masters tournament, and now they've also announced UFC. And a lot of this AI that they're doing is really around helping increase audience engagement with the sport, really trying to get them immersed with the sport. So like the demo that we saw was around the Masters, and they actually worked with Apple Vision Pro, where you were fully immersed. You can go to any Masters over the last few years, go to a particular player, go to a particular hole, play their shot, and it replayed the shot. But what it did was it laid out in the 3D platform the actual hole. And then you could see it's kind of like a 3D version of a shot tracer, but your viewpoint was as if you were above the hole, like in a drone or a helicopter or something, watching it. And it was amazing. You got all the different analytics and looking at swing speed and things like that, and predictions and so forth. So they're doing that with UFC now too. So that was a really great way of taking kind of all this AI functionality. And IBM was using their Watson X platforms and their Granite models to do a lot of these kind of very specific data-driven or enterprise data-based generative AI. So that was pretty cool.
I would think that that'd be applicable to just about any sport.
Any sport, yeah. And they don't mean it to be for the participants, but the participants are actually using it to improve their game, but also like in golf, you're basically playing against the course, but things like tennis or UFC, people have tendencies, and you could use this functionality to look at the tendencies of your opponent.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else that kind of struck you?
No, I think that covers it for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first night, unveiled, we saw a lot of that interface between technology and especially with the use of AI and machine. This one we're seeing a lot of use of AI within the machines.
Yes.
For a lot of those applications.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I think these are definitely going to be kind of overall trends for CES. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. Note that CES hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
So we're already exhausted.
It hasn't even started yet, and we're already 2 days into it. So,
So no, look forward to it. We're going to keep covering CES, and please like us, and definitely subscribe to us. We're going to be covering not just CES all week, but a lot of major events throughout the year, including MWC, including Embedded World, pretty much all the major conferences, and a lot of the major technology announcements. And if you have any recommendations or comments, you can always reach out to Jim at TIRIASresearch.com or Francis at TIRIASresearch.com. Thank you for joining us for another TIRIAScast.